Welcome to Behind the Doors, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of residential real estate investing. I'm your host, Dan Noma Jr., here with my co-host, Marvin Cruz.
We're here to help you unlock the best strategies and practice for investors. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro looking to scale your portfolio.
We've spent decades navigating the ever-changing world of real estate, and now we're sharing everything we've learned to help you succeed.
From off-market deals to cash flow management and everything in between, we'll break it down and bring you actionable insights that can make a real difference in your investments.
So get ready to open the door to new opportunities and take your real estate investing to the next level. Let's dive in.
All right, let's jump right in. Got to talk to my real estate agents again, my favorite folks.
Yeah, man.
I really want to talk to them about home equity.
Yeah.
The reason why I want to talk about this one, Dan, is because this is the most equity ever of all time.
Crazy levels.
Right? Crazy levels. But you know what's even crazier is folks don't know what to do with this equity.
Right.
And I think real estate agents can help.
Yeah.
Right? I think you're going to touch on that. But first, before we get into that, what is home equity for those folks that don't know?
Yeah, so the equity is monopoly money, right? The game we all love and play.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so it's that phantom money that the difference between what you owe on your property or what you're invested in total into your property versus what the property's worth in the retail market.
Right.
That's equity. And so that equity can be big, right? Especially if we saw markets like 2020, where property values went up by 36%, I think, in some markets, and some even higher than that. That's a big number, right? Like, that's a big deal. And so a lot of people have money tied up in their equity, right? The $17 trillion is what, is estimated today that Americans have held in equity that is tappable. So I think really the question is like, how do you unlock it? And how do you give those people access to it to create something else? Like, how do they get access to it? Is the big deal.
So let's talk about that. Why accessing equity is so important.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Yeah, well, I think, the cost of living has gone up. So that's put more homeowners in, needing some flexibility, right? Maybe they don't even want to use their credit cards at the moment. So I think it's a great option to tap into to give yourself some more financial stability just by tapping into that home equity lines a little bit. And then, if you think about interest rates, like they're pretty high. Most people don't really want to leave. Right. But then at the same time, they want access to that equity to be able to do something else with it. So I don't know. I think there's some cool opportunities for sure for people to do this. And, why have all that money just sitting there if you're not going to move? Use it to create some more wealth. Use it to buy a rental property. Use it to invest in a stock, whatever. It's like, use that money, put it to work. Go get it earning more than it's sitting there doing. Because if your home price is only going up 2% a year, 3% a year, standard, that's cool, right? But where could you take that same $100,000 and put it to get 7 or 8% a year? How could you do that? And now you're doubling that income or that money, and it's not even your money, right? So it's like, well, I guess it is, but it's monopoly money, right? It's funny money.
Yeah, no, I love that. So let's talk about ways that folks can access this equity, right?
Yeah.
So one is obviously the home line of credit deck, right? The HELOCs. You want to talk a little bit about that as well for folks that don't know what that is?
Yeah. I mean, banks offer, what they call home equity line of credit, HELOC, and so those HELOCs, typically what they'll do is like you fill out an application. They'll get an appraisal on your home. They'll figure out the delta. And as long as like credit and you have the ability to pay it back, it becomes like a second mortgage on your property, right? So it's just it's another way to access that money. So you're going to borrow against your home equity, and you're going to pay a little bit of interest to access that money. It's gotten harder, right? More banks are getting tighter on these because they're getting asked a lot. So when there is demand, then the restrictions become a little bit tighter. But as long as you've got income and to support and good credit score and all of those things, like tapping into your home equity line is a great option. And then you can take that money and invest it or go do something else with it.
And you can invest it right back in your home.
Right.
These are great opportunities for home improvements, right? Or even debt consolidation.
Yeah.
So you could do a couple other creative things to
Yeah.
make your overall situation portfolio much better.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
How about a home equity loan though? That's a little
Yeah.
different.
A little different. The home equity line would mean, like, let's say, for example, I've got a $200,000 worth of equity in my home. With a line of credit, I can use $50. I could use $100. I could use 1,000, like 10,000, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't need to use it all at once. With the home equity loan, you are borrowing it all at one time. So you're taking all of that money as a lump sum at one time. So that becomes like a significant number.
Yeah.
So you see people do that, usually $100,000, $200,000, like home equity loans. They function the same, right? You can do the same thing with them, but they're available, and but they are used differently, because one would be like, you're borrowing in aggregate versus borrowing it all at one time as a
No, it
lump
totally
sum.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people using these for the big expenses.
Yeah.
Medical bill comes out of nowhere, or you want to pay for college or something
Yeah.
like that. So,
Right.
when you think about these options, just be mindful. You're taking all the money, so your payment may be even higher on this situation as well.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure.
Now, what about option 3, cash out financing?
Yeah.
Or, sorry, cash out refinance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's say, for example, like you have a 4 or 5% rate on your property
Yep.
today, and interest rates are 6.5, whatever they are. It's worth kind of maybe taking a look to see, right? If you need access to cash, if you could do a cash out refinance, pay a little bit higher of a rate. Yes, your mortgage payment's going to be higher. Yes, you're borrowing against that equity, but you can do a cash out refinance, right? And maybe you're not going to borrow all of the money. It really just depends on your own situation. But the cash out refinance, typically we see that when they're lowering the rates,
Yeah.
and people are trying to lower the rates. So you're not seeing a lot of these cash outs right now. We're not seeing a ton of these cash out refinances right now. But that would be refinancing the entire mortgage,
Yeah.
right? So you're taking out the first position mortgage, you're refinancing the whole thing at a new rate, and new term.
Yeah.
So the clock starts again to your 30-year mortgage, if you're 30, 15, whatever you're doing. But it can be really good if if the rate's favorable and you're borrowing a fair amount of equity, and you're going to do something with it. Like, it's just math, and so it's not like, don't let the rate scare you necessarily. Or if you're like trading a 3% rate for a 6% rate, don't let that scare you until you've done the math, because it may be beneficial if you're going to earn 9% of that money or 10% of that money if you take it elsewhere. That's a really good opportunity for you. So
So you got HELOC, you got home equity line of credit, you got cash out refinance, and then you got my favorite option: sell it and downsize.
Yeah, I know.
You don't need to stay in the 4,000 square feet home anymore, right?
No, yeah, that's like the biggest section of our population now is all the baby boomers,
Yeah.
right? And that's the question, is that they keep being puzzled with, is like, should I downsize? Where are they going to go, though? What are they going to downsize into has been kind of the question mark for a lot of them. They accumulated all this stuff now, and they're like, God, I've got this giant house. I don't necessarily need that. What do I do with it? But I think there's some options. I think that there's some unique options. And it's funny, like, the people that I talk to in that age demographic now, they're actually looking forward to this, right? And like simplifying and downsizing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have days, man, where I think
you
about it
talked
too.
about this before. You don't
I
want
look at this.
nothing.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
payments at least, right?
Right. Yeah. I love this idea of just having like a condo,
Yeah.
like later in life, kids move out, just like a little condo that is, I just need a place. Like, I don't necessarily need a fancy home,
I totally
for me.
understand. All right, last one, reverse mortgage. This is primarily for seniors, folks
Yeah.
that are 62 plus.
Yep.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Their options. What options do they have?
Yeah. So what they do is they convert their home equity into tax-free cash, right? Without requiring monthly payments. So, they can access some of that cash, and it doesn't necessarily become income to them, but they are borrowing against the equity.
Yeah.
So you see this a lot, as people were retired and ran out of money, right? And that happens, and inflation didn't help that either. So that's not always their fault, or a medical problem or something like that. And then the next thing you know, the house is mortgaged to the hills. And, that's what happens. So you got to be careful with these, but if done correctly and done at the right time and done well, the reverse mortgage is not a bad tool and could be a great way, if you've got some older folks, 62 plus that need to tap into that equity, but don't want to move. Check that out and, at least put that option in front of them because I think it could be a good one.
I love that. All right, Dan. So I'm listening. I'm a real estate agent.
Yep.
How can I help? What could I be doing?
Yeah. So I think this is where the agents gotta, they teach you in 90 hours of training of real estate school to really just how to draft a purchase contract and understand the laws and legalities of this stuff. But, go deeper into education and learn more and like local workshops, webinars, talk to your audiences about home equity options so that they know that they're available, right? Because I see too many people end up like, they need the home equity, lost their job, whatever. And the first option is like, I'm going to call my agent, just sell my house. It's not always the best option for them. So talk to them about other ways. You may still land back on, you got to sell. Yeah. But it should be one of many options that you can put in front of them if you're going to be their trusted advisor. So I think as an agent, like you can do that. Agents can connect their homeowners with their lender partners. Make sure that your lender partner is having like an annual check-in with your customer, just to make sure like everything is right for that year, right? And maybe there's an opportunity here to access some of that equity, buy a rental. Maybe there's not. Who knows, right? But at least let's like be the answer versus leaving your homeowners out there kind of going, well, what do I do? How do I access this? Yeah. And then just, be mindful of the fact that not everybody should sell. And, understand that like, you can guide them through all of these different scenarios and possibilities, but don't push them to sell. Don't just tell them that's the only option. I can't tell you how many people I met with that were in like short sale situations and stuff like that. Had they known other options were available before, they wouldn't have ended up there, but they just didn't know that stuff was out there. So I think as an agent, you can be the resource, and it's important that you are.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Doors. We hope you found today's insights valuable for your real estate investing journey.
Remember, real estate success doesn't happen overnight, but with the right tools and strategies, you can build long-term wealth and create passive income.
If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with others who are passionate about real estate investing.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips and exclusive content.
Until next time, keep unlocking new opportunities, and we'll see you on the next episode of Behind the Doors.